Then we move to the other side, which is what I called driven by excess, which is actually, and this is also a work that is, I can describe also like a cynical realism. Is from a Hong Kong artist called Stella, good big friend of mine. They make these fantastic works, fantastic artist, and she combined these elements of neopop and cynical realism, make this extremely like slick, sexy. All her works are like that. You can actually Google her. And when I saw this work, was just like, this is actually when China was probably around 2005, when there was pollution everywhere. I remember coming to Hong Kong. I arrived to Hong Kong the first time that I came to Hong Kong was about 20 years ago. And I remember it was impossible to see the harbor. It was yellow. The pollution was just like everywhere. It was so dirty. But I can understand why they did why, because they wanted to progress with the Kyoto Protocol. China just took advantage of cheap technology, and they wanted to progress as quick as possible. And then they just polluted everything, which we know. The damage that they did on the environment was huge. And this work actually describes that, like the whole damage, like the compromise and the sacrifice that China also, okay, the China is more like, or certain countries in Asia did at expense of progress. So not only, well, I mean, this work is a bit more, I mean, I have to say I have a bit bias towards the motherland, but it's all the whole pollution and the pandas. The pandas is a very strong symbolism, because to me it denotes a little bit of a corruption that was very rampant back then in the early perhaps 2000s in China, when things were going out of control, and really things were really out of control. I think China was growing far too fast, far unplanned, and to a point that kind of like they realized, and they decided to, about like maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago, China realized that it was way too much. These excesses were leading to massive damage, and they decided to get the game together. They went into this big campaign about corruption and cleaning the air and so on. Gladly, today Hong Kong is a far cleaner place. The skies are clear again, and I'm glad for that. Then this other work here is by Camille Levert. Quite common, for example, in the United States, you say like you fake it until you make it. People start like pretty much living on borrowed lives. So this sign is a sign of a pawn shop, which are quite, I mean, for those who have been in Hong Kong is very famous for its neon signs. Then this one is one of the most famous, more representative ones, which is like the very big pawn shops that were quite, they were pretty much ubiquitous everywhere in Hong Kong in the 90s, 2000s. Also in Macau, because the big gambling mecca. But this work is quite symbolic, because I mean, you have, besides the pawn, you have the hand, which is extremely stylish, very elegant, and you have the ring, which is this huge ring. But that's actually what I saw. That's what it's denoting, is you're trying to portray, try to live an extremely sophisticated life, but with borrowed means. So, and which is, I found that is a reality. Is that reality in Hong Kong? Is that there's so much pressure. Oh, Hong Kong and elsewhere. I think it relates to anywhere. I mean, I see it now with the millennials, that they have this term called flexing, which I found hilarious. I'm actually doing. I'm preparing a second show on the whole flexers, which actually culturally is quite relevant. The whole situation with I mean, the works with Supreme and Cause, and it's really derived from these earlier works. I attended this course on Saturday, and the speaker made a remark that is stuck in my head. Said like, contemporary art has a constant dialogue with its past, and I liked it, which is what you see today with today's flexers and Supreme and the Lamborghinis comes from the 80s. Especially that work that you see there from Camille Levert, the pawn shop.